Hey guys, it's Mike, and it is March 2nd, 2014, and we will be working, or I will be showing you what's going around the shop these days. So welcome back to Word in the Shop, and let's take a look at this car real quickly. It's not a whole lot to show. It's a really nice car. It's got no paint, but it's alright. This is a Tichy Train Group kit that I just recently put together. It's not completely finished, which is why it's not painted. As soon as it's done, I will paint it right away, because I'm waiting on decals, and once I get the decals, I'd like to put them on. This is going to be a Pennsylvania Railroad X26 boxcar. By the way, this kit is a Tichy USRA single-sheathed boxcar. And I'm modeling it after a Pennsylvania Railroad prototype, as I just said. The number 5 is kind of in the way a little bit, but you can see the 32's back on our own wheels and put back together partially. Hold on. Oops. So yeah, the other day I was thinking, you know what? I have no operating prototype steam engines at this moment. The 3 needs a new cab, and the 30 is in progress, and the 32 has a few issues. So I decided to go and put her back together and see exactly what I needed to do to get her running right. For the longest time, I was having so many issues with the engine's performance, which didn't make sense to me because the locomotive's base was Bachmann Spectrum, so it should run perfectly. You know, the only thing I did was replace the motor. You know, the gear worked fine, and I had meshed and everything, but for some reason I was getting what's the word? I was getting a bind in the drive wheels, and the running gear wasn't working right, and I'm still getting it. It's not as bad as it was before, but I'm still getting that problem. So what I'm thinking I want to do, I tried quartering the drivers, manually by, just looking at them and seeing that they look all the same. But, I'm not sure that it'll be perfect until I do it with a quartering tool from Northwest Shortline. So I'm gonna go and get that. A friend of mine has that, so I'm gonna borrow it from him. Hopefully pretty soon, and quarter the drivers properly. And if that doesn't work, then I really don't know what else I can do except wait until I scratch build a new frame for this, because this base is only temporary. So yeah, that's what's going on with that project. At least she's back together. She doesn't have a tender at the moment. She actually had it up until yesterday or the day before, because I put it with the 30, which is down there. So yeah, here's combine number 5. I'm thinking about doing more work on this. I want to put the doors in. The reason I haven't done that yet was because I really wanted to make the doors movable, but I don't know any easy way I can really do it without tearing up the floor on the inside, which you can see is nicely scribed wood in there. My camera's not focusing. Yeah, okay, so the floor is nicely scribed, because eventually I want to do interior in that car. And the windows will go in eventually, and the car will make a nice finished model. You guys remember in the last Word in the Shop, or the one before that, I can't remember, that I had a Santa Fe boxcar. I had a Santa Fe boxcar that was halfway torn apart. Well, this is it, almost finished. Oh, I'd say it's somewhere around 70% done. The things I still need to do are a few handrails here and there around the car, the brake rigging, and the rest of the decals. This is the only side that is decaled because it's the only side with completed handrails. But it really cleans up nice, doesn't it? This is one of my favorite cars now. Freight cars, anyway. Here's that car that I bought for 45 bucks. I thought it was worth it because It's an Intermountain brand. Intermountain Railway Company owns Tichy Train Group, so it's the same car as the one I showed you back there that was undecorated, only it's assembled, and it says Southern Pacific on it. I jumped at it because it said SP, and I haven't seen any other ones that said it. You know, without someone having built it. This is the only assembled car that said SP, so I jumped at it. I said, you know, what the heck, I got 45 bucks, I will pay out of the nose for it, and now I have a Southern Pacific car. Okay, and let's move on. Sierra number 30, looking alright. She's got some lettering, or she's got some identification on the sand dome on both sides. Part of the boiler has some paint missing off of it. That's actually an extension of the boiler, what you see. It now goes through the cab area. Anyway, I painted it, but then I ended up having to fix a few things on it. So I had to sand the paint away, but it doesn't matter. I'll repaint that. I'll repaint that portion when I get some new paint. I actually just ran out, so... Here's the 30's new cab. You notice the 32 has her cab again. This is the 30's. It's made out of copper and it's all soldered. And it turned out wonderfully. It actually only took me 3 days to assemble it and paint it. Unfortunately, I need to repaint it because I don't know. I honestly don't know what happened, but there was cracks forming all over it. And just no way I could ignore that. There are little chips of paint on the rear and certain other places around the cab. You can't really see it now, but if I were to take it off and rotate it around, you would notice all the little defects in the paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the paint off somehow, and I'm going to solder the last few appliances in place, like maybe the handrails, the little cab hatch at the top, and a few other things. Yeah, the cab is pretty much done, and the locomotive's getting a lot closer to having its own tender too. Let's take a look at this. Actually, I'll show you the other side. So here's the 30's new tender cistern. It's really nice and shiny. It's pretty much done. I've got a few other things to add to it, like handrails and whatnot. I never end up seeming to add those. I never end up adding those before I actually paint it, which is probably a bad. It's probably a bad method of going about finishing your stuff. But anyway, here's the tender cistern. It turned out really nice, considering it's made out of styrene this time. It's got a copper top and bottom, but most of it is made out of styrene. Turned out really, really nice. Got the ladder on the back and its identification on the rear of the tender. I'm going to be putting the decals on it. I should probably put the rivet decals on it first, so that I can put the numbers over that. So I got to go get some Archer rivet decals, and yeah. So it's turned out really well. The next thing I got to do is the tender frame and the oil tank. The tender frame will be soldered together because the tender frame was steel. I'm not sure about the oil tank yet. It might be styrene, but it might be soldered copper. I'm not sure. So yeah, there's that. Now while I'm over here, I'll show you this. It's an old kit. It's an old project that I was working on. It looks absolutely terrible. This is what I made. This car I purchased when I first started modeling prototype. So this is about 4 or 5 years ago. I painted this car. I'm not going to tell you what I painted it with, but it turned out really well. I mean, really horribly. I mean, the car was really nice before I painted it, and then when I painted it, I kind of ruined it. Anyway, so I looked at this car and I was like, you know what, I'm tired of having this thing laying around for the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm going to strip the paint off, I'm going to make it nice, and see whether or not it would work for an era appropriate refrigerator car. Which I looked it up, and unfortunately it will not. It replicates a Fruit Growers Express prototype from the post-World War II era. So this is not going to work. So I figured I'm just going to clean it up, get all the paint off, make it a nice car, that's just, it'll probably look like this when it's done, no paint and everything. I'm going to do that. I'm going to resell it, hopefully make 15-20 bucks off of it. I mean, it's a really nice car. It's just got a really shitty paint job, pardon my language. So yeah, hopefully I'll have that done soon and I can make a little bit more money. Selling a whole bunch of cars, actually. These are my prototype projects. These are the ones that have higher priority than everything else in my collection. This one only needs a little bit of a touch-up here and there, and a couple of new details. I believe it's a Westerfield kit. And that tank car's inner mountain, it's going to be repainted. I'm going to put it in a different road name than it is. And that one's one of my Sierra cars. It needs a new roof walk, because that one is just, it doesn't look nearly as nice as I would want it to. This car, I mentioned I soldered the handrails to it. You can kind of see one of the handrails actually broke. The solder joint broke, so I got to resolder it before I can put it back in the layout. And that one's an AccuRail, I believe they call it an 8-panel boxcar on the AccuRail site. And I tried to make it look like this car, which it does, it passes, but the lettering is wrong. The number series is wrong for that type of car. So I'm thinking about taking the underframe out and putting it under another car, another AccuRail car, the same type, and then putting another, the same underframe it used to have back under this car. Another thing is I gotta fix the truck because the side frame broke off. So yeah. Let's see, there's not a whole lot else to show. I'm going to do this last one here. This is a Roundhouse automobile boxcar. I just purchased this on eBay for a good price. They're surprisingly accurate cars considering it's Roundhouse. Roundhouse usually gets a crummy reputation for their rolling stock and locomotives especially, but this one is actually really, really nice. It's an older kit actually, which makes it even more surprising. It's actually more detailed than most Athearn cars. So yeah, I bought this for about 10 bucks. Didn't take very long to assemble at all. It's really nice. It's an actual prototype car. This particular type of car is said to be a Texas and Pacific prototype, so I was looking around for a while for a Texas and Pacific model of this car. Finally found one, and now I have an automobile car. Actually, I have a Southern Pacific one, but it needs a bit of work before it goes on the layout. Anyway, it turned out really nice, and this word in the shop's getting pretty long, so I've got to wrap it up. Here is the 3. Really nothing going on with her. She needs an entirely new cab. The one I was working on, let me get it. That one, I didn't realize exactly what I needed to do until I started thinking I was close to being done. And then I saw this. Can anybody see what the problem is? Because I sure see it. The left side of the cab, the left portion of the roof, is lower than the right side. And there's absolutely no way I can fix that. So I'm going to have to retire this cab and build an entirely new one. I guess it's about time. This cab is about 4 years old, and it's made during the time where I did things like that reefer car, and my modeling has improved since then, so I'm going to build a new one. It's sad, but nothing lasts forever. So that cab is going to be retired, and this makes the project to get the 3 running again a little bit longer. But considering how easy it was to build the 30s cab, it shouldn't be too long. Shouldn't take too long at all. So yeah, there's that. Here is the Atlas Junction module. All of the dirt scenery base is on it. I'm working on a second layer. I've started it over here. You can kind of see it's a little bit lighter here. That's because there's less dirt. There's more dirt. There's 2 layers of dirt here, 1 layer of dirt on here and on the rest of the module. And there's 2 layers of dirt over here. So I haven't worked on this in a little while, just because I haven't really felt up to doing it. But hopefully in time for the CR Railway Historical and Modeling Seminar in April, it will be ready to display. That is my hope, but we'll see what happens if I'm still lazy by then or not. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Considering this Word in a Shop only comes once every month, it seems to go by fast, especially while I'm filming it. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.